Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Weather Desk. As we go through the day this Monday leading up to Christmas, here we are at the 22nd, just a few days until Christmas. And we've got you covered on your holiday travel. That's going to be a big thing. We've got a lot to cover this morning, and unfortunately, some really rough news from the Pacific Northwest. Let's get into our topics, some of the things we're talking about. California flooding over the weekend, and it did turn deadly. We'll talk about that. More flood problems. They persist for Washington State. No surprises here. We've got more moisture that just continues to stream into the western U.S., and specifically it's been the Pacific Northwest that has been hit so hard. So we'll focus on that as we have been for the last couple of weeks. It's been the big story as we take a look. Strong winds whip over parts of Colorado and Wyoming. And those winds went on to fuel some wildfires out in Colorado. So here we are into the winter season and still talking about wildfires out there, and we'll have more on that coming up. In addition, you know, the Christmas holiday travel outlook, we like to do that, and I've been doing it for the last week or so. We're going to continue to take a look. We'll show you the European model. I also have some travel cities. So if you've got travel plans, or maybe you're hosting from other parts of the country, you've got family or friends coming in to visit, we'll let you know what areas could see some potential delays or travel impacts due to the weather. And then changes coming for Hampton roads. Really chilly this morning here in the 757. And for those of you that are watching from outside Hampton Roads and Northeast North Carolina, the home market for 13 News Now is Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. But the cool thing about the Weather Desk is that we put this out on our 13 News Now Plus app, and then we also have it available on YouTube, so you can stream this, and people do, from all across the country and, in fact, all around the world. A lot of times with the Weather Desk, we cover international weather stories, big things going on across the globe and around the world, and we also talk sometimes about space and climate weather as well. So pretty much anything that's kind of impactful that we can discuss related to science and climate. It's all fair game here on the Weather Desk. As we take a look now, though, we're going to start off with what's going on out in the western U.S. You see some unsettled weather here, Idaho, Nevada, some rain showers, a little bit of snow up in Wyoming, western Montana. We'll get to some of the snow back across portions of the Great Lakes and the storm system there. But you see these areas highlighted. We have some flood advisories to speak of, and we want to get into these here in California. It has been such a tough go. This is a 24-hour loop here. You see the persistent rain, and we'll start off with the fact that we've got a flood advisory right here, and we'll start with this one for Northern California. This flood advisory continues. It includes Anderson, Red Bluff, Redding, and Shasta Lake, those cities in Gland, Shasta, and I believe that's Tehama counties in California. So about 132,000 people under the impact there with the flood advisory this morning. We have another one here extending back towards Chico. This flood advisory impacting about 67,000 folks, and it includes some of the cities here. You can see Grass Valley, Lake Wildwood, Magalia, and Paradise in California. And we've got one more here that we'll talk about, this flood advisory for the counties of El Dorado, Nevada, and Placer County. So about 25,000, a little more rural there. Now we can take this full for just a second because I'm going to step over to what we call the weather pod or the weather island. And I want to click on a couple more advisories that are newer and just kind of popped up. You can see this one here just near Susanville. And I'll put that up there. It looks like a pretty narrow area, but this one just came up. And again, that's in Lassen County, about 17,000 people impacted with that. That's going to run through this afternoon. So, you know, that's a narrow one, most likely right along a river. That's been the case there. As we take a look a little farther to the east, there's another area, another little sliver here. But these are some of these areas that it pops up. You can see around Nervo, and it looks like maybe around Chianti, California. We've got a little flood warning or advisory going on there. That advisory Probably not a lot of people there impacted, but in Sonoma, you can see we do have this flood advisory. And again, it's really small stream and urban street flooding. This has been an ongoing problem. And we've been tracking the flooding out there now for a while. These conditions in the Pacific Northwest, the residents there experiencing extreme flooding. And you can see that flood risk today. It's level 3, very likely that we get additional flooding. Let's go ahead and show you what's going on. And here you can see the Eel River and Mad River in California. Both rivers have high levels of water, and the current is very quick there, as you can see. Anytime you see water like this, it's important to be cautious so you don't risk drowning. We've also got video and pictures from Humboldt County in California. You can see the water is as high as this deputy's chest here. I think we're going to get a better look at this, but very high water there, moving across the water. Never a good idea. That moving water, it doesn't take much depth at all to move the cars, and not real happy to see those motors going through, but we do have the video. You can see the water coming up over the road. So we do have some more video to show you. I believe we've got that video of a deputy in like chest deep water, and there was another deputy that was actually relying on a jet ski to get through the water. So a lot of flooding issues going on out there. Now, like I mentioned, we've been tracking the conditions out there for the last few days, and we've got another look from Washington. So as you can see, we've got the wet weather here. There you can see FEMA crews responding in Washington as they go into these flooded areas. You can see they're covered in water, safe gear. Now the roads are vacant in this video, which is a good sign as residents were asked to evacuate. Staying in Washington, and we're going to go ahead and turn our attention. You see this flow here coming in. It's not just specific to Northern California, but we also have the flood issues ongoing in Washington. We just showed you that video with FEMA, but we're going to stay here for a minute because families are trying to recover from all of the flooding and the water damage that's been going on. We have more from CNN's Natalie Swaby.
You can see how everything just floated away here.
In the Kent-Auburn Valley,
And their coop is completely flooded.
a family surveys what the flood took away.
The name is Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Kevin the turkey survived. He's one of dozens of animals Christina Pines and her husband Jack care for on their 2.5 acres, now more like an island in a sea of floodwater.
There are lakes where there were fields before. This is a humongous event.
They tracked the severe weather until Saturday when it turned on them.
We basically had about 2 hours to relocate our vehicles because we knew this was moving way too fast.
They grabbed what they could and fled, releasing their animals to higher ground.
It's like leaving your kids. You know, I was worried about them constantly.
It didn't flood the floors this high, but did flood all the floors this high.
Floodwaters invaded the house. Now they're retreating and leaving destruction behind.
Relieved because, our animals seem to have survived for the most part. Overwhelmed because there's just going to be so much to do to be able to secure safe place for them to be.
Sitting there after getting everybody safe, it was just, I can't stop crying.
The hardest part?
Not being able to live in my home.
This isn't just affecting, our slice of heaven. We might be able to recover within a year, but there are going to be folks that are going to be many years before they can see recovery.
Here, their focus is bouncing back.
Get all my ducks in a row.
It is so tough to see that. Again, so many folks that have been dealing with this, and we will continue to watch not only Washington, but parts of Oregon. We've seen issues in in Idaho, that's Idaho, Montana, and then down to the south into California, as I was mentioning. Now, we're going to take a look. Not only is it here, but also we have portions of the western U.S., specifically Wyoming and Colorado, and we can take a look right now at this again because I'm going to pull up some storm reports before we get into this next story and video here. We've had very powerful winds across the region there. So as we pull up the storm reports, you're going to see some of those winds, and I'll just pop a few of these up so you can see what kind of winds we're talking about. In Wyoming, 58-mile-per-hour winds there. at Federal in Laramie County. You can see across central portions of Wyoming and Lander, we had winds up to 68 miles per hour. So these are non-thunderstorm wind gusts. These are just winds that are rolling through this part of Wyoming, and the windy conditions continued down into Colorado as well. So let's take you out there to the mountain states where they've been having these intense winds again, specifically Wyoming and Colorado. A high wind warning remains in effect for parts of southeast Wyoming, and they expect more of these gusty winds through the afternoon. National Weather Service says wind gusts could reach up to 80 miles per hour, impacting areas including Rawlins, Arlington, and the I-80 corridor. You can see the winds are so strong that semi-trucks were actually tipped over. Look at that video. Always dramatic to see that. And you can see from the country there as you look out how wide open it is. So those winds come whipping along those high flat regions, and they can really build up. Obviously, it's a big problem there, and those broad-sided vehicles need to use extra caution or really stay in wind protected area. Now, forecasters there are warning the winds could down trees and power lines. Obviously, travel is hazardous for those high-profile vehicles, so we will keep you updated on that. All right, large fires, 3 of them burned through roughly 14,000 acres in Colorado last week, but the damage could have been much worse if it wasn't for local farmers who stepped in. Colette Bordelon spoke with those who say they're just looking out for their neighbors.
Out on the eastern plains of Colorado, you'll find Yuma.
Yuma's a really nice, tight-knit community. Everyone kind of helps each other out when it really comes down to it, like last night's fire.
Joshua Baumgardner was stunned by the smoke that swept over his home on Wednesday night.
It was the most intense wind we've had out here in definitely lots of years. And that fire was just whipping so quick.
He instantly did what he could to help.
The least I could do is just, if that fire's coming in that direction, I could go and warn them. So it was really, it was nice to be able to do something.
3 large fires sparked on Wednesday night. All of them are now contained after burning roughly 14,000 acres in the area. No serious injuries were reported, and authorities believe no homes were lost.
I don't know how much we lost. We probably lost 700 to 800 acres on the east side of the ranch. So we actually fared really well compared to some of our neighbors.
Tyson Brown is a 4th-generation farmer who was born and raised in Yuma, and he helped fight the fire from a tractor.
What we're trying to do is just make a break in the soil so that way the fire doesn't have as much available fuel.
Farmers and ranchers are used to helping out volunteer firefighters by providing water and their equipment. It's a collaborative effort to contain a fire.
Since my wife and I moved back in 2010, I think that we've had to do this at least 8 times, maybe 10. It's a lot.
Brown says the fire activity has become much more frequent over the course of his family's time here, but he's grateful these fires weren't any worse.
How are you feeling today?
Tired, but I think everybody is tired. So, it's, to my knowledge, nobody was killed, nobody was hurt, nobody lost a home. So we'll get through this. We always do, we always have.
Saying Yuma County is always ready for whatever the wind blows their way.
That is so tough to see that again, those wildfires, such a big problem. Now, as we take a look here, again, we're going to turn our attention from eastern Colorado, where those wildfires were burning, back to the general region across the northwest U.S. And we need to talk about the rainfall outlook because things are not good as we go forward. Again, I mentioned there's a level 3 concern. Again, very likely that we see excessive rainfall and flash flooding over portions of northern California. We'll zoom in and take a little closer look because this is really the next few days. It's really going to be a focus on California here for excessive rainfall. So here's the outlook for today. And again, you can see this is just off to the east and northeast of Sacramento and the Central Valleys there. As we take a look ahead to Tuesday, you'll notice the threat for excessive rainfall extends a little farther to the south, but it's just a level 2 threat with a likelihood as opposed to very likely we see additional flash flooding today. Now, Tomorrow, it extends all the way down towards Los Angeles, and here's where I have more concern. We are going to be watching down across the southern part of California, an even greater risk as we get into Wednesday. So here we are, Christmas Eve, and we've got that level 3 threat. Very likely that we could see more flooding down across this part of California. Some of the other cities here, not only LA, but Santa Barbara, you can see back through San Bernardino, areas down through Santa Ana, and even out towards Palm Springs. Pretty good chances that we could see some excessive rainfall. So this is going to be a big concern that we could have more flash flooding out there. And on top of that, you know, when you get into Southern California, areas that have been hit so hard with all of the wildfires earlier, there's a lot of burn scar, and those areas take that runoff, and it seems to really kind of accelerate. A lot of times there's just nowhere for the water to go on those areas that have been scorched, so it runs right off. So we're going to continue to watch that threat extending all the way down towards Oceanside and areas even a bit farther to the south of that. A lot to watch here over the coming weekend, and we'll be doing just that. All right, we're going to take a short break, just 2 minutes, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the holiday travel outlook around the country. Stay tuned. To the weather desk, it's good to have you here. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and you take a look here, just 3 days until Christmas. You feeling it? Are you ready? You're a little nervous? A lot going on, right? It may be the most wonderful time of the year, but it can also be stressful on various levels. The holiday travel season is underway, so expect to see lots of traffic and lots of long lines, and that's in between big meals and, of course, some football on TV. Here's a report from CNN.
The year 2025 is ending on a historic note. AAA estimates a record-setting 122.4 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home.
You've got this 2-week period when people are coming and going during different times.
AAA says nearly 110 million will drive, just over 8 million will fly, and close to 5 million will take other forms of travel like buses or trains. For those getting behind the wheel this holiday season, a basic rule of thumb: the sooner you leave, the better.
Early mornings are the best. Those are the times that you're going to have the lighter traffic. Also, you don't have the buildup and more opportunities for there to be crashes or construction later in the day.
If you're heading to the airport, be proactive before pulling up to the front doors.
Do everything you can before you get to the airport. Reserve that parking, check into that flight, prepay for checked baggage. It's really going to save you time and heartache when you get there.
And as for those procrastinators who may still be looking for a last-minute bargain on a plane ticket,
there's always weird things going on with airfare, so you can probably find a cheap deal to fly. But is there value in that flight? Is the layover 3 times longer than it normally would be? Is it going to take you 3 times longer to get to your destination?
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All right, here in Hampton Roads, we don't have any problems with snow, but you can see that snow across the northern tier of the U.S., and it is an issue. Again, if you're traveling through New York State or up towards Vermont, New Hampshire, up through Maine, you've got snow on the ground there in western portions of New York State and the northwest part of Pennsylvania. Back across Michigan, both the lower peninsula and the upper peninsula with very heavy snow. In some places, 18 to 24 inches, so 1.5 to 2 feet of snow up there on the UP. You can see across central portions of Wisconsin, a lot of snow there as well. Northern Iowa up into Minnesota, parts of the Dakotas. Then you get up into the mountains, incredible amounts of snow up over the mountains there in Wyoming, back across Idaho and western Montana. Cascades buried in snow down through the mountains there in central and western parts of Oregon, and then the Sierra is also seeing some snow right now. Now, maybe you've got travel plans, you're headed home for the holidays. Super important to use caution, especially if you're driving. An estimated 13 million people expected to be on the roads, which could lead to some chaotic situations at times. Here's more with meteorologist Evan Stewart.
As winter weather settles in, icy roads, reduced visibility, and bitter cold can create hazardous driving conditions. Whether you're commuting to work or traveling for pleasure, here are a few simple tips that'll keep you safe on the roads. And one of the most important steps is to check your tires. Cold air reduces tire pressure, which can make driving difficult on snowy or slick roads. Make sure your tires have an adequate tread and are properly inflated. Good tires provide the grip your vehicle needs to stop, steer, and accelerate safely during winter weather. Next, be sure to remove ice and snow from your vehicle. That's crucial. Clear your windows, mirrors, headlights, taillights, and roof before you hit the road. Snow left on your roof can slide down on your windshield or blow onto cars behind you, creating dangerous visibility issues. And when snow plows are out working, give them plenty of room. Finally, understanding how to handle skidding can prevent a minor slide from turning into something more serious. Sudden braking or accelerating can cause your vehicle to lose traction. Now, if you do begin to skid, stay calm, slowly ease off the accelerator, and steer gently into the direction of the skid. By staying alert, preparing your vehicle, and driving cautiously, you can significantly reduce your risk on winter roads.
All right, Evan, thank you so much. As we take a look at the travel forecast by plane, the sun is shining. You see that on the monitor there in our shot here. As we take a look at the carousel, let's pick some travel cities. How about Orlando? 79, mostly sunny, looking great in Atlanta, partly cloudy, 57. As we take a look at Philly, 40 degrees, a little cool up there, and certainly cool up in New York City, mostly sunny, 39. You see 40 there in the city of brotherly love. Chicago, 43 and cloudy, a few sprinkles north of Chicago. Dallas, warmer at 73 degrees. All right, I do want to show you some of the travel delays and areas out here as we go through the early to middle part of the day. You can see there's some snow up in the higher elevations. Rain continues to be a big issue here along the West Coast. Most of the country, though, in the green with no real travel delays expected, no significant impacts from the weather, maybe a little bit of snow coming up for parts of the Northeast with some minor issues there. As we go through the middle part of the day and into the late part of Monday, again, chances for some minor delays up there. Again, that's some more lake effect snow. Storm system moving along the northern part of Minnesota. That's going to shift eastward towards the Arrowhead, and a little unsettled weather down along the Gulf Coast. Things also looking a little touch and go perhaps for the Northwest, or again, they're north of Sacramento in the central valleys of California. Into early Tuesday, now we've got a bigger issue here. And again, this is largely some snow and rain kind of mixed in providing these issues here. Could see some moderate to maybe even major impacts across north central portions of Pennsylvania. That's going to be early tomorrow. As we go later into the midday on Tuesday, moderate issues for New York State over into Vermont. Again, some minor issues back out to the west and still down along the Gulf Coast. As we get into late Tuesday, now we're starting to watch the rain picking up along the west coast. You could see more snow impacting portions of New England there as it moves along, maybe some wind as well. Early Wednesday, now we've got more rain coming in, and this is going to be a concern, as I mentioned, that flood potential or excessive rainfall down across Southern California, along the coast, all the way up through the Pacific Northwest, and still some unsettled weather producing some snow and some wind back across the Northeast. That's going to pull away later Wednesday, so things will improve. You can see again for us here in Hampton Roads and much of the country, really no major problems, but my heart hurts for those dealing with the excessive rainfall that just can't get a break out there along the west coast with more rain in the forecast. All right, here's the European model. High pressure in control. We're in good shape here. As I mentioned, there's that snow moving into the northeast U.S. late Tuesday. This energy here is going to transfer offshore. It's really going to deepen. You can see how it really bombs out as it moves off and away from the coast. Fortunately, it is progressive. It's going to keep moving. We've got the rain coming into the west coast, more heavy rain setting up for Christmas, and this is going to be a big weather story out west, and some more unsettled weather back across the Four Corners region up into Utah, Colorado, and eventually up into Wyoming. More snow for the mountain resorts. Jackson Hole, they got to be loving all the snow they're seeing. Things are looking better here along the eastern seaboard. We'll certainly keep you updated and continue to give you more travel information over the coming days. Last few days, for the last 5, we have been above average. Today, it's a colder day, no doubt about that. We're still dry here at the airport. We do have a chance for a few showers tomorrow. You can see the high yesterday was 58. Normally, we're at 54. We are 5.78 inches below average. That leaves us in abnormally dry conditions, moderate drought off to the southwest. So using a little bit of rain, we could, over the next couple of days. We're not going to see great chances for anything significant, but I do expect some isolated to scattered showers with light amounts coming up during the morning tomorrow. You'll notice by the afternoon we dry it out, things then clearing out late Tuesday. Rainfall amounts from all of the models, and they all show something for Hampton Roads, but the amounts generally light as we go through the day tomorrow, so not a lot there. All right, our high temperatures for the next few days. Today we stay in the mid-40s. We'll be in the mid-50s for Tuesday, 54 on Wednesday, and warmer for Christmas. As we get into Friday, a little bit warmer, and then back into the upper 50s for Saturday. You can see the drier than normal conditions expected through the first week, really, of the new year, up through the 5th. Wetter than normal, again, for the Pacific Northwest. No real significant change to the weather pattern. Temperatures expected to be above average for the entire country, really. Generally speaking, it is going to be a warmer stretch of weather into early 2026, that first 4 or 5 days. Temperatures this morning were down into the 20s and even some teens early this morning. We're not going to warm up a lot, though. Right now, we're in the upper 30s to near 40. As we check in with the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View, sky is mostly sunny. It is going to be a beautiful day. Now, we do have the cool conditions, obviously, and it's still windy out on the water. We have small craft advisories up for the bay and the ocean. Our temperatures are going to be warming as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday back into the mid-50s. That's after a chilly one today. We do have that chance for isolated to maybe scattered morning showers. Mostly sunny on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, partly cloudy, looking good. Low risk of a shower Thursday or Friday as Kwanzaa begins a little warmer there, and then back into the upper 50s Saturday and Sunday. Want to remind you, you can always follow our forecast when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan that QR code. It's a free app, and you'll always get your weather, traffic, and news updates from 13 News Now. If you're traveling, be safe out there on the roads. Have wonderful holidays, and we'll see you next time from the Weather Desk.